MACV, Military Assistance Command, Vietnam.
Okay.
And I think they got that right on my hat here.
Okay.
We would go and try to teach the South Vietnamese how to fight, because the North Vietnamese, they were really good at it, but the South Vietnamese would just yawn and want somebody else to do it for them. And that's why they lost.
Yeah.
We were a MACV, we were training the Vietnamese, so I wasn't really with many Americans.
Okay.
We had this thing where we would holler at a guy with our code, or Chicken Racks Tango, and the other one on the other end would be Kicking Racks Zulu. I don't know what the Kicking Racks was, but we used it.
Your unit worked with the ARVN?
Yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't with the regular soldiers.
Okay.
No.
How many Americans were working with them?
There was probably two of us.
Only two?
Yeah, two of us at a time. I grew up on a farm 5 miles from Platte, South Dakota.
What was your favorite childhood movie?
We weren't allowed to go to movies. They would have. We were not. I never went to a movie till I was probably in high school.
What movie did you see when you were in high school?
Oh, jeepers. Yeah, we had fun, snowball fights, and 4th of July came around, and that was really big time. We got to go to town, and they had to have fireworks, and it was just total awe to see all that stuff, and we had never seen it before, and didn't know what it meant either, but later on I figured out what it meant. My first job was just working with my dad on the farm. Well, the worst part was we would hand milk cows, and then, if you got your little brother walking by, you'd squirt him. And then milking cows, and then you had my mom had some kind of weed.
Yeah.
That we could rub it in our hands and get that smell out, because one time one of the teachers in front of the whole classroom says, "Why do your hands always stink so bad?" And so I told my dad that, and he said I think he went up to the guy, because he was a city guy. Not many people did milk cows by hand anymore. They had milkers. Mm-hmm. But my dad just stuck with hand milking. And there's a picture of my little fat mom milking a cow. She was, yeah. It's just, we were poor. We weren't very rich, but that's just it. I went to grade school. It was a Christian school. And I remember the head teacher there was Hogeveen. That's a nice name. And I don't know, we just basically stayed on the farm all the time. Then I went to, I went in the Army, because Dad says, you better go in the Army now because it might be worse later. So I went in the Army. And you had your choice, airborne ranger or infantry, and I decided I was going to be infantry.
Why did you choose infantry?
I didn't like jumping out of airplanes, and it just because I could see them guys. You go there to have cadence when you're walking, and your left, right, left, and that kind of stuff. I like that better than jumping out of an airplane. I had all them older brothers, and none of them did go to war. One went to Chicago, but I don't know what he did there. Another one went to Germany, and they didn't do anything. And then my younger brother, he wanted to enlist, but Dad said, "No, I've lost one kid, me, He said, "You ain't going."
What do you remember about the day you enlisted?
Well, I was pretty nervous. Because there were some pretty big guys that was in it. We went in a room, something like that.
Yeah.
And then all of us were kind of scared because the war was going on. And you could either wait to be drafted or just enlist. And Dad said, "You might get a better job if you enlist."
What year did you go into the service? Or even month, if you can remember.
Man, it's written down somewhere, I think. But I went in the Army when it was warm out, so because we slept in bunks that were from World War II. And so I think I went in there in Army in a warmer part of the year. I can't remember.
Okay. Where did you go for basic training?
Fort Hood, Texas. It's not there anymore. They tore it down because it was built in 1944 for World War or whatever that was. And that's it. And them barracks and everything, real old and everything. And we slept in these double bunks and, bunk beds. Only you don't want to roll. They were only about this wide, so you wouldn't roll over too much. You wind up on the floor. And the floors had, it wasn't nice tile or anything. I don't know what it was, red stuff that they threw on there on the floor so your feet would get red.
Oh wow. Like kind of concrete maybe?
It was on the concrete, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it was better to land on that red stuff than the cold concrete.
Did you have any follow-up training after your basic training?
No.
No.
I wanted to get out of that business.
Was there anything you missed about civilian life?
Then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're all homesicks. Yeah, homesick. Yeah, you're gone for, I forget how many days, but you're not used to being gone that long, and your dad and mom could bail you out, but we had to be men.
And where did you serve during the war?
Vietnam.
Do you remember where?
Where? South Vietnam. Hanoi was way north. And what was the one in the south? I can't.
Saigon?
Saigon. I didn't go down that far either. It was like Pleiku was up on the hill, and what was that town we were in? I can't remember. It was nothing big. We just lived in tents. We weren't heroes. They just give us a cot and the old barracks. You just got to make your cot right, so everything looks good when they walk in, because they come in there and have an inspection sometime with some big shot. One time, I already been to Vietnam and everything, and this guy comes walking through and he's looking around and he says, "Good job." And I said, "Thank you. I'm sorry, That guy was William Westmoreland.
Oh wow.
Yes. That's probably my most honorable thing of the whole Army. Is it?
Wow.
This guy walked by and said, "You're doing all right," or something like that, and I says, "Wow." He was a general,
Yes.
but he started out lower, so he knew what it was like, and he was just a great guy. No other general ever showed up that I knew of, anyway. But Westmoreland was one of a kind, and everybody liked him.
Yes.
Because he liked his people, and that makes a big difference. I mean, when a big guy like that walks by and says, "Everything okay?" And yes, sir. You know, who cares that the other guys would be like a second lieutenant? They were pitiful. Some of them second lieutenants were right out of West Point, and they still were stupid. You'd think those guys coming in, you know, in the Army, they'd know a little more, and they didn't. They thought they were smart, though. And when we saw them guys, we didn't even bother saluting. And I got to be a radio operator. And I carried a radio on my back, and I would go we had for one, it would be we would Tango Julio kind of stuff, and we'd say I can't remember. We like a guy across the field there. You could just say Tango Julia over, and they would talk back to you.
So
and they would,
yeah.
And they would, we would see if we see, what do we call them? Communists? The commies are coming. I can't remember. It was something like that, but, and then, well, we had already learned how to shoot. Yeah, his big old M14s or M14s, yeah, big old rifle, and I don't think I ever shot that rifle. Grenades were better than rifles, and you don't throw a grenade, you lob it. It's too heavy to throw.
Did you know anyone that could throw it?
Huh?
Did you know anyone that could throw it, or you just
whoever was the leader there, and I got to move up in rank, so I was the boss there for a while. And yeah, I would lob that grenade, and because there was the Vietnamese had these like ditches, and they would hide in them, and so that's what we'd aim for. And you knew when they would holler that you got somebody, because the South Vietnamese soldiers were worthless.
Yeah.
And the North Vietnamese, I just couldn't figure out how they're the same kind of people. And the North Vietnamese were good fighters, and the South Vietnamese, they do it for me, okay? They were worthless. We even gave them rifles and everything, and taught them how to shoot it. And of course, they were big old M14s. That's about as big as the Vietnamese were, but they never really learned how to. It was just too heavy for them to fight with that gun. Then they came out with the M16 or 15, which was a lot lighter,
Mm-hmm.
but it was. I don't think it was as accurate. There was something no good about it. I can't remember what, but we just stuck with the old wooden M14, M12, 14. Yeah. Everything was M. We got Braniff Airlines brought us down there. And I don't know who took us back, but we did fly, and then we took a bus from not San Diego, but someplace down in there. And when we landed there back in the States, we were all hollering. We made it back or something like that. And yeah, they thought we were stupid, but man, we were happy. But when we came back, and we thought we'd come as heroes, and the people hated us. I couldn't figure that out, and I still can't figure it out, but they hated the GIs, and I can't remember why. They called us baby killers, and we didn't kill any babies. In civilians?
Yeah, with civilians.
After Vietnam?
Yeah, when we came back.
Well, they harassed us because they didn't have to go,
Mm-hmm.
and I enlisted. And they thought I was stupid. I probably was, but Dad said, "Go ahead, and you can get it over with."
Mm-hmm.
So I got it over with. I flew into San Francisco or some town down there, and my older sister's had a bus, and he met me. I forgot where, so I rode in the bus back with him to South Dakota, and I went back to Platte, South Dakota, and I was treated like a hero. I never was hugged so hard as what my dad did there. I said, "Dad, don't squeeze me so hard," because he was a big, hard-working guy, and they were glad to see me because they had Walter Cronkite on the news telling how many guys got killed that day and stuff like that, and they made it out. I went back and helped my dad for a while on the farm because I couldn't find any other jobs, and working on the farm was kind of fun, but I didn't want to be a farmer like my dad because one year you would have, especially in South Dakota, you would have hot weather, and the next winter would be just freezing cold. I came home, I worked for a while, and I went to Grand Valley State, and so they started a college there. It was Grand Valley State College. It was probably one of the first participants.
What did you study?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'd kind of like to know. I don't know if I studied anything. It was just a little college.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the Calvin College where you studied in history or something like that. We didn't have that. We just came out stupid, I guess. But what really helped me out, that lady sitting back there, I gotta tell you, she's the best woman I ever met. She knows I love her. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. I had other girlfriends, but none like her.
How did you guys meet?
Church, I think. Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something, huh? Go to church and pick up a wife. There's a 11th month of the 11th day, there's Veterans Day. That's my favorite day of the year. We get to walk down the street and ain't nobody hollering at us. They're applauding. And that's a good feeling. Like you did something.